The Alpha King's hand was at my throat before I could scream, his golden eyes blazing with something between fury and wonder as he stared at the ancient amulet hanging from my neck. "Where did you get this?" His voice was barely human, his wolf so close to the surface that the air around us vibrated with power. I couldn't answer, couldn't breathe, because I'd just stolen the one thing in the castle I was never supposed to touch, and now the most powerful wolf in the kingdom was seconds away from tearing me apart. But let me back up. Let me tell you how a slave Omega ended up wearing a relic so forbidden that even speaking its name was punishable by death. My name is Sera Ashwood, though most people in Blackthorn Castle just called me Girl, or Omega, or nothing at all. I'd been property of the royal household for 3 years, purchased from a bankrupt pack that couldn't afford to keep its weakest members. Slavery wasn't common in the modern wolf world, but it wasn't illegal either. Omegas without packs, without family, without value. We ended up in places like this. The castle's underbelly, where slaves worked. I scrubbed floors that nobles walked on without seeing. I washed sheets that smelled of perfume and power. I carried trays to rooms I'd never be welcome to enter as a guest. I was invisible, which was exactly how I'd survived this long. The other slaves warned me during my first week, keep your head down. Never look the nobility in the eye. And for the love of the moon goddess, never go near the king's private wing. I followed those rules religiously for 3 years. Until today. "Sera," Mira hissed, grabbing my arm as I hauled a basket of linens toward the service stairs. She was older, maybe 40, with gray streaking her dark hair and worry lines etched deep around her eyes. "Where are you going?" "North Tower," I said, adjusting my grip. "Head housekeeper said the guest rooms need, not the North Tower. The North Wing." Her fingers dug into my skin. "That's the king's private quarters. You can't go up there." I blinked at the assignment slip in my hand, seeing it clearly for the first time. My stomach dropped. There must be a mistake. I'll tell Mistress Kane. Mistress Kane isn't here. She left for the southern estate this morning. Myra's face was pale. "Someone's setting you up, girl. If you go up there without permission, the guards will arrest you. Or worse." My mind raced. Someone had deliberately given me this assignment, knowing I'd be punished for following it. But who? And why? "I'll just not go," I said, setting the basket down. "I'll find other work. And when Mistress Kane returns and asks why the king's chambers weren't serviced," Mira shook her head. "You'll be beaten either way. Beaten for going. Beaten for not going." The familiar helplessness of being Omega, being slave, being nothing settled over me like a familiar coat. "I'll be quick," I heard myself say. "In and out. No one will even know." Mira looked like she wanted to argue, but she just closed her eyes and whispered, "Moon goddess protect you." The king's wing was silent in a way that made my skin crawl. No servants bustled here, no guards stood at attention. Just empty hallways lined with portraits of ancient alphas, their painted eyes following my every move. The chambers were unlocked, another wrong thing in a day full of them. I slipped inside, my heart hammering so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. The room was magnificent. Massive windows overlooked the kingdom, curtains of midnight blue framing a view that stretched for miles. The bed could fit 6 people easily, covered in furs that probably cost more than I'd earn in a lifetime. Books lined the walls, leather-bound and ancient. And on the desk, catching the afternoon light, was a small wooden box. I shouldn't have looked. Should have just changed the sheets, emptied the washing basin, and fled. But something about that box called to me. A whisper at the edge of my consciousness, my wolf stirring for the first time in months. "Open it," she urged. "We need to see." My hands moved before my mind could stop them. The box wasn't locked. Inside, nestled on black velvet, was an amulet. It was breathtaking. Silver and moonstone, carved with symbols I didn't recognize, hanging from a delicate chain. The moonstone pulsed with inner light, like it had a heartbeat of its own. "Put it on." "No," I whispered. "That's insane. Please. Just once. Just to see what it feels like to wear something beautiful." That plea broke something in me. My wolf, quiet and subdued for so long, asking for one moment of beauty in our gray life. I lifted the amulet from its case. The moment it touched my skin, warmth flooded through me. Not uncomfortable, but alive. Electric. Like waking up after a long sleep. The symbols on the metal glowed softly, and I gasped as power hummed through my veins. Not my power, but something ancient, something vast. Yes, my wolf breathed. This is what we're supposed to feel like. I stared at my reflection in the window, barely recognizing myself. The amulet made me look different. Not like a slave, like someone who mattered. What are you doing? I spun around, and my world ended. Alpha King Theron Blackthorn stood in the doorway, and his eyes locked onto the amulet with an expression of pure shock. Then he moved, faster than should be possible, and his hand closed around my throat. I found it on the floor. I gasped, delight tumbling out desperately. I was just picking it up. I swear, I wasn't stealing. Be silent. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried absolute authority. Alpha command rolled over me in waves, and my wolf whimpered in submission. But his hand loosened slightly on my throat. He wasn't trying to kill me. He was keeping me still. Up close, the Alpha King was terrifying. Over 6.5 feet tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair that brushed his collar and golden eyes that seemed to see straight through me. Power radiated from him like heat from a forge. But it was his expression that confused me. Not rage, shock. Almost fear. How are you alive? He whispered. What? His gaze fixed on the amulet, still glowing against my skin. That's the Luna's mark. It kills anyone who wears it falsely, burns them from the inside out. His thumb brushed my collarbone, just below where the chain rested. You should be dead. Ice flooded my veins. I didn't know. Please, I didn't. How long have you been wearing it? And maybe 5 minutes? 5 minutes. He released me abruptly, stepping back. 5 minutes, and you're not even singed. He dragged a hand through his hair, and for a moment he didn't look like a king. He looked lost. That's impossible. I reached up to remove the amulet, but his hand shot out, stopping me. Don't. Not yet. But you said it's forbidden. I said it kills false wearers. You're clearly not false. His golden eyes bore into mine. Tell me your name. Sera. Sera Ashwood. The words came out small. Ashwood. He repeated it slowly, like tasting wine. That name. Where are you from originally? Crescent Falls Pack. But they sold me 3 years ago. Something dark crossed his face. Crescent Falls. Of course. He moved to his desk, pulled out a leather journal, flipped through pages covered in angular handwriting. Tell me about your parents. I never knew them. The pack said they died when I was a baby. And you were raised as Omega? Yes. Shame heated my cheeks. Lowest rank. When the pack fell on hard times, I was the first sold. He looked up from the journal, and his expression was strange. Angry, but not at me. Do you know what this amulet is, Sera Ashwood? I shook my head. It belonged to the last true Luna Queen. 300 years ago, she wore it as a symbol of her authority. When she died, the amulet was locked away because legend said it would recognize her successor, the next woman destined to be Luna Queen of all packs. His voice dropped. Every ambitious she-wolf in the kingdom has tried to claim it over the centuries. Every single one died within seconds of touching it. The room tilted. That's not. I'm not. You're wearing it right now. Alive. Unharmed. He closed the journal with a snap. The amulet doesn't lie. There's been a mistake, I said desperately. I'm nobody. I'm a slave. I'm Omega. I'm Ashwood. He cut me off. Sera Ashwood of Crescent Falls, sold into slavery 3 years ago. He was reading from the journal now. Parents listed as unknown, deceased. But I have different records here. Old records, sealed records. Your mother was Elena Ashwood, daughter of the Crescent Falls Alpha. Your father was Marcus Ashwood, a beta of considerable power. The words made no sense. No, that's wrong. They told me I came from nothing. They lied. His voice gentled slightly. Your parents were murdered when you were 6 months old. The Pack Alpha, your grandfather, covered it up. Declared you Omega and worthless so no one would question why the Alpha's granddaughter was being treated like trash. He paused. He needed you alive but powerless. Because you carried a bloodline he wanted erased. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Why? Because your mother was the last descendant of the Luna Queen's line. Which means you are too. He gestured to the amulet. That's why it accepts you. That's why you're still alive. You're not just anyone, Sera. You're the rightful heir to a legacy that was stolen from you. No. I backed away. No, this is insane. I'm nobody. I'm nothing. I can't be. Take off your shirt. My hands flew to my collar protectively. What? Your shoulder blade. Left side. Is there a birthmark? How could he possibly know that? But yes, There was a mark I'd always hidden, always been ashamed of. 3 crescents interlinked, like moons in different phases. His eyes softened at whatever he saw in my face. That's the mark of the Luna line. Every woman who carries the queen's blood is born with it. He turned, and before I could process what was happening, he pulled off his own shirt. I should have looked away, but I couldn't stop staring at his back, at the matching mark on his right shoulder blade. Not crescents, but a wolf's head crowned with a sun. The king's mark, he said quietly, pulling his shirt back on. We're meant to rule together, Sera. The sun and the 3 moons. It's prophecy. It's destiny. He faced me again. It's why I've never taken a chosen mate. Why no bond has ever felt right. I've been waiting for you. You don't even know me. No, but the moon goddess does. He took a careful step closer. I know this is overwhelming. I know you're frightened. But you're safe now. I promise you that. Safe. A hysterical laugh bubbled up. I'm a slave wearing a forbidden relic. When people find out, you're not a slave anymore. His voice carried absolute certainty. As of this moment, you're under my personal protection. No one touches you. No one commands you. You're free. Free. The word felt foreign. But I need you to trust me, he continued. Because when the court finds out about this, there will be challenges. She-wolves who thought they'd be my Luna will fight tooth and nail to discredit you. Nobles who benefited from your family's murder will want you silenced. His jaw tightened. It's going to get dangerous before it gets better. Then maybe I should just give back the amulet and disappear. It won't let you. He said it so simply. Now that it's accepted you, it's bound to you. Try to remove it. I reached for the clasp. My fingers wouldn't cooperate. It was like trying to move through invisible honey. The harder I tried, the more resistance I felt. You see, he moved to a cabinet, pulled out a formal coat. The amulet chooses. And it's chosen you. A knock at the door made us both freeze. Your Majesty? A woman's voice, sharp with irritation. I heard you'd returned. We need to discuss the moon ceremony preparations. Theron's expression hardened. Lady Vivian. Perfect timing. He called out. Enter. The woman who swept in was beautiful. Golden hair, sharp blue eyes, wearing a gown that probably cost more than the entire slave quarters. Her gaze raked over me, and her lip curled in disgust. Why is there a slave in your private chambers? She directed the question at Theron, as if I didn't exist. I'll have her removed and punished. You'll do no such thing. Theron's voice could have cut glass. Lady Vivian, meet Sera Ashwood, the Luna Queen. Vivian's face went white, then red. That's not funny. It's not a joke. He gestured to me. She's wearing the Luna's mark. She survived it for nearly 15 minutes now. You know what that means. Vivian's eyes fixed on the amulet, and pure hatred flooded her features. That's impossible. She's nobody. She's Omega. She's the rightful heir to the Luna Queen's bloodline, Theron finished. Which, as you well know, supersedes any claim based on rank or politics. The council will never accept this. Vivian's voice shook. They'll demand proof. They'll accept what I tell them to accept. Alpha command rang through his words. I am their king, and she is my mate. The word mate hit me like a physical blow. I opened my mouth to protest, but Theron shot me a warning look. Vivian saw it, saw the glance between us, the connection already forming. Her hands clenched into fists. You've known her for what, 5 minutes? And you're already claiming, I'm claiming what's mine. Theron moved to stand beside me, a wall of protection. The moon goddess has decided. The amulet has decided. If you have a problem with that, Lady Vivian, you're welcome to challenge it formally at the next full moon. It was a dare. I could feel it, even if I didn't understand all the politics. Vivian's smile was poisonous. Oh, I will. Because when the court finds out this little slave has bewitched you somehow, when they see how obviously unsuitable she is, they'll demand you reject her. She looked at me directly for the first time. Enjoy it while it lasts, Omega. You're about to learn that wearing a crown doesn't make you a queen. She swept out, leaving silence in her wake. I turned on Theron. Your mate? You can't just. I can, and I did. He held up a hand before I could argue. Listen to me, Sera. If I hadn't claimed you, Vivian would have had you arrested for theft before you left this room. She's dangerous, cunning, and she's wanted to be Luna since we were children. The only thing protecting you right now is my authority. So that's all this is. Politics. His expression softened. No, the bond is real. even if you can't feel it yet. Your wolf is too suppressed from years of mistreatment. But give it time. Give us time. He reached out slowly, letting me decide whether to accept his hand. I'm not going to force anything on you, but I'm going to keep you safe while you figure out who you really are. I stared at his offered hand. Every instinct screamed that this was too much, too fast, too impossible. But the amulet warmed against my skin, and deep inside, my wolf whispered, "Trust him. This is right." I took his hand. His fingers closed around mine, gentle but firm. "Good. Now, we need to move you to secure quarters before word spreads. You'll need new clothes, food." And Mira. The name burst out of me. There's a woman, another slave. She helped me. If Vivian thinks I'm a threat, she might. I'll have her moved to protected servant quarters immediately, Theron promised. Anyone who helped you is under my protection now. Give me names. I listed the few people who had shown me kindness over the years. Theron wrote them all down. Over the next hour, he transformed from king to commander, issuing orders that reshaped my entire world. Guards arrived to escort me, not as prisoner, but as protected royal. Miriam appeared, confused and frightened, until Theron explained she was being promoted to my personal attendant. "If you want the job," he added, looking at her directly, "you'd be free to refuse." Myra's eyes filled with tears. "Free. All slaves who served with Sera are hereby freed," Theron announced. "You'll be offered positions as paid servants if you wish, or safe passage to wherever you want to go." I watched it happen in a daze. One moment I was nothing. The next, I was changing lives with my mere existence. They took me to chambers 3 doors down from Theron's, still in the forbidden wing, but my own space. A bedroom larger than the entire slave quarters, with a bed that felt like sleeping on clouds, and windows that showed me the kingdom I was apparently meant to help rule. That night, I stood at those windows, still wearing the amulet because I literally couldn't take it off. Mira had left me alone after making sure I had everything I needed, and the silence felt strange after years of sleeping in crowded quarters. A soft knock made me turn. Theron entered at my called permission, now dressed in simple sleeping clothes that somehow made him look more dangerous, not less. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Can't stop thinking." I touched the amulet. This morning I was a slave. Tonight I'm supposedly a queen. How is that real? It's real because you survived what should have killed you. Because you carry a bloodline that 300 years of history couldn't erase. He moved to stand beside me at the window. And because when I look at you, my wolf recognizes his mate. That's not politics, Sera. That's fate. I don't know how to be what you need. Neither did I when I became king at 19. His smile was crooked. We'll figure it out together. One day at a time. What if the council rejects me? They won't. Not once they see you wear the crown. He said it with such certainty. The moon ceremony is in 3 days. You'll be formally presented then. It won't be easy. Vivian and her allies will do everything they can to undermine you. But you don't have to face it alone. I looked at him, really looked at him. At the man who'd turned my world upside down in a single afternoon. Who'd given me truth, freedom, and protection without asking anything in return. "Why are you being so kind to me?" "Because you deserve kindness. Because you survived horrors you shouldn't have had to face." His hand covered mine on the windowsill. "And because my wolf won't let me be anything else. You're mine to protect now, Sera. For as long as you'll have me." The bond between us pulsed, warm and real. Not overwhelming, but present. Growing. "I'm still scared," I admitted. "Good. Fear means you're smart." He squeezed my hand gently. "But you're not alone anymore. Remember that." 3 days later, I stood in the great hall wearing a gown of silver and moonstone, the amulet blazing against my throat. The entire court watched as Theron placed a crown on my head, lighter than the amulet, but no less significant. "I present to you," he announced, his voice carrying to every corner, "Luna Queen Sera Ashwood, recognized by the moon goddess, chosen by the mark, and bonded to your king." Vivian stood in the front row, her face a mask of fury. But behind her, I saw Mira, tears streaming down her face, hands clasped in joy. Saw other former slaves, now freed, watching with hope in their eyes. I wasn't just accepting a crown for myself. I was accepting it for everyone who'd ever been told they were nothing. The court knelt. All of them, even Vivian, forced down by tradition and power. And as Theron took my hand, his eyes bright with pride and something deeper, I finally let myself believe it. I was no longer a slave. I was home,